Consciously Created Motherhood. It's Honor here, founder of this group and of the program Awakened Motherhood. I am excited to be with you today, and I'm really eager to share this talk with you that got tabled from last week when other things came up. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to get past two of the most common excuses that I hear moms using to perpetuate, and I've used myself, to perpetuate this really draining cycle in motherhood. Hi, Michelle. So glad you're joining. And really how you can empower yourself to get past these and create the peaceful life that you want for yourself, number one, for your kids, and for your marriage as well. So I'm gonna talk about, we're gonna pinpoint these excuses so that you become aware of them, because once you become aware of something, then you really have the capacity to gain the new tools to shift it. If it's not in your awareness yet, you're just kind of unconsciously following old story, then you're going to feel really powerless to change this and really stuck. So my purpose for being here today to share these things with you is to give you some of the momentum and the tools that you need to be able to really see what these patterns are that are going on in your life so that you can change them. Hi, everybody. Say hi when you come on so I know who's here with me. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for joining me. I'm so excited to just be here to support you and to help you grow deeper in your path and in your journey, and to answer any questions that you have. So this is a really hot topic today because so many of the moms who reach out to me for help, and some of them who become clients, are really struggling with this feeling like they're out of control. You know, I as a person who has a certain level of expertise in emotions and mindset, and helps a lot of other women to find their peace and find their place in just true self in motherhood and how to light that up. I still lose my shit, you know. I did it yesterday. So I'm just here to say, like, this is for real being human. I am human. You are human. There is no perfect. There is no sort of perfection that we can achieve. So if you're striving for perfection, just go ahead and take yourself off that hook, off that ledge, and know that those are old stories then that you need to change. But there is no ever like totally being perfect mom and never losing your stuff from parenting or from life in general. There are certainly absolutely ways that you can live in peaceful alignment with your true self and with your divine self, and you can mother and nurture and care for your people and yourself in a way that does create so much peace, and that is where I am and what I want to share with you and where my clients are getting. So today we're focusing on the two sabotaging excuses keeping moms, and I got multiple screens going here, so I'm going to be looking around, keeping moms from parenting peacefully. Okay, can let me know your questions about this as they come up, but I'm going to start with sort of painting a picture, a real life example that probably many of us have lived and can relate to as real life human being mothers. So let's start with an example. So let's just say, and I hear about this one a lot, it's the end of a long day. You're a working mom. You've been doing stuff all day long. And by working mom, I mean maybe the stuff is happening in the home, or maybe the stuff is happening outside of the home, but you are busy all day long. You get to the end of the day and you're fried. You're totally fried. You are starting to feel that your nerves are on edge. You're starting to go to that dark place where you're just wanting help. Maybe you're wanting to be rescued. And you're starting to kind of look around. All of a sudden, you can't stop noticing all of the things that are not yet done that you wanted to do today, all the sort of standards and expectations you had about what you would get done today. You're starting to see the lack of those things being done. And immediately you think of all the reasons why your house is a mess and who made that happen and who is not helping. And you start to feel really angry about it and really irritable. So what happens? You get tense, your mood tanks, you feel you're holding that awareness of how everything is not the way you want it in your body, so your body starts talking to you. And then you kind of get on that war path of like, who can I blame for this? Who is responsible for this? This is the mother's sort of, you may not be here, but a lot of moms are here. Like, who is going to go, someone's going down for this. It's going to be you toddler, it's going to be you 13-year-old, it's going to be you partner who is not pulling your weight. And all the while that's just coming from a place of like, I cannot tolerate what I'm feeling. I'm going ballistic in here. I'm doing this on my own. So you can feel that old familiar place rising in you. And so you try to keep it together because you know that you set the tone in your home. And if you lose your stuff, then they're definitely going to lose it, right? You are the anchor one way or another for your people, especially if your children are young. And so you're going to notice that whatever you're feeling, that's setting the tone or the vibration in the home. So if that's, and you guys are connected. So whatever you are feeling and holding and expressing or not expressing, just exuding, then that is what is available to them, right? That's pretty much all that they have to work with, especially the younger they are. So we are always impacting everyone around us, most of all ourselves, right? We're not doing this for everybody else. We're not trying to grow our awareness or gain control over our mood for everyone else. That'd be great too. There's a great benefit to that for our kids so they can be healthy human beings and we can feel great about the job we've done. But ultimately, this is about us and how it feels to be in our own skin throughout the day, right? So you're trying to keep it together and you can feel that anger rising. And so you ask your children to pick up after themselves or clean up their crap or put it away, but you know you're irritated, so it comes out that way. And then they ignore you. What happens? They ignore you. They blow you off. They don't want to listen to that. They want to stay in their happy place, and they want to just tune out and turn down the dial on what is not in their happy place. So they tune you out, which is them finding their own happiness. And then you tell them again, anger rising, and either they say, let's just say, example, it's a bad day, they say no, and they are rude, and they're disrespectful, or they walk away, or maybe they have a meltdown and tantrum when you push the issue. Have you ever been there? Does this sound familiar at all? Let me know in the chat. Tell me if this resonates at all with your out of control moments. And you know there's a delay on the chat, but I'm just going to give it a second. You know, what happens to you when you have these moments? Where do you go? What thoughts come into your head, or what feelings kind of hijack you? That's what I want to know. So tell me what happens for you at that point. I'm looking, I don't see you guys. Tell me what's up. All right, I'm going to see some comments coming in a second here from that. I'm going to share what happens for a lot of moms who work with me, and what has happened for me, and maybe what happened yesterday. Okay, so I've kept myself in a pretty calm, stable state lately. Awesome! And notice a distinct shift in the home. That's so great, Lori. And yeah, Martha, I haven't visited your house, but you know, I do have 2 young children myself, and work with a whole lot of moms on teaching them how to come into their own peace. So these are stories that I'm very familiar with, and honestly, ones that used to drown me, ones that used to really just get the best of me again and again in my my days of overwhelm. So what happens for a lot of people at this point is like your expectations of how things should be going, the evil shoulds, are confirmed at that point. I knew it was going to be like this. It's always hard. Your blood is boiling. You go into a story that nobody appreciates you, nobody helps out, that you're terrible at this whole thing. You shouldn't be doing this anyway, that it's a total mess and disaster, and you need to get a different job, or you need to be home more, or you need to be out of the home more. Let's just change up the conditions until somehow I can escape how I'm feeling and not feel this anymore. So basically, you get to that voice inside that says, like, I can't do this, or I can't do this anymore, or, you know, some variety of it's not enough, there's not enough, I'm not enough, there's not enough support. It's either I can't do this, I'm all alone, you know, and any number of feelings that you feel there. I'm terrified. I can't be in my body. Feel hopeless. Feel helpless. These are all things that I hear moms say. So what feelings are you coming up against in those moments that have you just stopped in your tracks? Nothing good is coming from this, and you know it. Nothing good is coming here. There's no crack that lets the light in, right? There's no available place to shift to, because you don't have the flexibility to do it when you're kind of lodged in that space of, I can't do this. This isn't working, is another thing that moms go to a lot. This just isn't working. None of this is working. So from that place of hopelessness, disempowerment, overwhelm, what happens often, like what is available to us in that energy, is not ultimately what we want. So if that's your familiar go-to kind of habitual place, what's available to you is on that same low vibration. You can, from this place, blame your partner for not coming through, or for not noticing you, or not caring more. You can blame your kids for being kids. You can blame yourself for not coping better. There's blame, there's isolation, there's hopelessness. These are all ingredients for overwhelm. They're also the recipe for chaos in your home. If you do not have a peaceful home, if your kids are kind of running past all the limits, or making up their own rules, or not respecting the home, or you don't know how to set the boundaries with them, you don't feel like you've dialed in consistency, and you're just not feeling that that they're really listening to you, that they're connecting with you, you're able to drop down with them into the moment and really hear them and listen to them, and know how to co-create peace in your home with your kids and with your partner, having real conversations about what's hard, real conversations about what you're wanting that is not coming to light in your home. It's not manifesting. If you're not able to really, if you don't know, and it's okay if you don't know. I feel like most of the women I meet don't know how to do this, how to have honest clarity within themselves about what they want, about what is not working in the house. And it's a good thing to notice what's not working. It doesn't mean anything other than you need some new tools. You need to learn how to shift this. You have a choice. You don't have to stay in numbing out to what's not working. You can give yourself permission, or more. It can be so much better. So all these things, if you're there, will bring you outcomes and results that are along those same lines. More chaos, more conflict, kids pushing back. Is this making sense? Tell me if yes. Okay, great. So after the aftermath of this is you see the damage. You see the damage on your kids' faces. Maybe you see them afraid of you. That's a real special place to be. Tell me if you've ever been there. Are you with me? I had a call coming in. When you've lived through that, seeing your own children afraid of you, it really does shake you to the core. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You're in the wrong place. You're not. There's nothing here probably that that is really hitting the nail on the head for you. But I really am talking to those of you for whom it is not okay when your children feel scared. For you to really lose your stuff all over your kids, and then hear it boil over in them, and it's not okay for you to be resorting to threats, empty threats, to your kids, and at what cost? There's such a high cost to this, so we're going to talk about that. you see the damage and then you feel guilty, or maybe you go into shame. You withdraw because you cannot believe that this is the motherhood experience that you're having. This is not what you thought it would be like. It's not what you wanted. It's not where you were before you had kids. You remember feeling some level of freedom, feeling of ease, feeling in tune with yourself. You had maybe a successful professional life, or you had a lot of bliss in your relationship, or you remembered feeling, in your power. You remember being able to ask for what you needed, and motherhood just sort of drained all the juice out of that for you. So if that feels like you, then stay with me here. So I want you to tune in now to just kind of breathe with me for a second. We're going to slow this down, and I want you to just take a big deep breath and really listen inward and really ask yourself, what are you feeling after those moments of losing control? What's there for you at the bottom? I'm going to call this the bottom. So when you lose your control, what do you feel? What's there for you that wants to be seen and noticed? Or what feeling do you have? Maybe a self-judgment. It may be exhaustion. Maybe sadness or self-hatred or shame. What is it? Let me know and put it in the chat. Are you beating yourself up for not being a better mom to your kids? Are you I'm on a robocall list, wanting to be more easygoing and laid back, and so angry that you're not that. You wish you could let a lot of stuff go, but you just can't let it go. Today, I want to tell you about the two most common excuses that are perpetuating this draining cycle, this vicious cycle. And yeah, so Martha, you're saying, will I never get it right? And why don't they listen? Yeah. So beating myself up for sure. Yeah, exactly. And you sort of ask these questions to yourself. These are questions, and there's no answer because they're along that low vibration. They're in that same kind of thought path that's creating all the chaos. So there's nothing new coming in. You got to connect elsewhere if you're going to hear other answers. There's such a high cost, and these are the things that create depression for moms. These are staying in these cycles creates depression, creates even from anxiety. It can create panic and phobia. It can just create such a low place that your physical body kind of just flattens, and your immune system then kind of just gets tired out, or your body develops some other kind of imbalance or illness. The cost is so high to parenting and co-parenting from the end of a frayed nerve, from that totally exhausted place. The guilt that you're consumed with, the self-doubt, questioning your own worth as a mom, questioning what this is doing to your kids. And what's really going on the inside is your nervous system is overly taxed. It is working really hard to try to keep you afloat. And that manifests in the physical body. It will manifest in your relationship as stress, or the feeling that you just need to get out of that. It will manifest as your partner verbalizing all of your worst fears about you to you. I've seen that a lot. It will manifest as your children verbalizing to you the kind of mother you fear most that you are, and saying they hate you. Yeah, I just want to name every taboo, because it's like, this is real stuff. It happens, and we can use all of it. All of it is a lesson. All of it is shining a light on what we need to change, what we need to start investing in and stop investing in, so that we can then prioritize creating the life that really lights us up. So today I'm really speaking to that part of you that feels so rotten that you are staying in these loops and these cycles, and that's really ready to change it. It's the part of you that's so tired of feeling frustrated about being here, that knows that there must be a better way, that intuitive side of you that says there's got to be a better way. So let's look at the two excuses now that we tell ourselves that really perpetuates these patterns. So the first is most of us feel awful about losing control with our kids or our partners or whatever. Losing control of our anger, especially when we really direct it at our kids and like blame them for it. That's really the worst. It feels so low. The first excuse is that we tell ourselves, well, and let me know if you're here. This is unfortunate that it has to be like this, but I have to raise my voice because it's the only way that they'll listen. It's the only way I can get their attention. And I have lots of evidence of that, so it must be true. This is the only way I can get them to do what I want them to do. Have you ever had that thought? I want to know. Put it in the chat. This is one I hear all the time from moms. And I know you feel like crap when you think this. I know it doesn't feel good. And this is why moms are reaching out to me to say, this feels awful. This feels terrible. But the only way I know how to get them to listen is to lose my stuff, is to lose control, is to show them how angry I am and kind of scare them into doing what I want them to do. You might tell yourself that you're yelling because it gets their attention. And the reason why is because that's easier to swallow. You may have a different reason. I'm open to hearing about that. I'm going to share with you my expertise now. It's easier to swallow. We know, though, that is not really why we yell. We know this. We tell ourselves we do it because we need to justify it, because we don't know what else to do. We snap and shout at our kids because we have no clue what else to do with our anger. It's beyond our control. We have no idea. Yeah, I'm not doing something right because I'm yelling. Yeah, that's the thought. And also, this is the same is true with threats. I don't want to threaten, but it seems like it's the only thing that works. And the truth is, it's not ever really working. And you know this. It's not like creating a peaceful home. It doesn't. It doesn't go into doesn't add more to the bucket of like we all take better care of ourselves and each other, right? So there's something that doesn't line up there. We do it because we don't know what else to do. We don't know how to manage our own anger and get them to do what we want them to do, right? Or let them be who they are. Or what is the happy middle anyway, right? We feel overwhelmed by this because there's no guidebook. So, and the guidebook is inside you. So if you're not hooked in and connected in with your wisdom, then all of this feels really overwhelming. So the truth is we are completely out of control of ourselves when we yell or threaten, right? When we're shouting. It's just a loss of emotional control and mental control. And I know the word control gets a bad rap. For me, it's a beautiful word. It implies that it's the best way I can describe that I'm in charge of me and I'm parenting in the way that is aligned with my intentions. So that's my meaning when I explain, when I use those words. This example I'm giving is a loss of emotional control, okay, or mental control. So by the time we're yelling at our kids or shouting or threatening, we're so far down that path of negative thinking and emotional flooding, and flooding meaning like it's all feeling and it's all out of control and it's just all over the place, like a big throw up. By the time that's happening, we're so far down the path, we can't change the course. We're just like, we're cruising, right? We're in cruise control and it's all bad. There's no stopping. So you've hit the point of no return by the time that happens. Don't bother to beat yourself up at that point because you've already gone too far. There's no way to reel it back in usually for most of us when we're in our primal brain. I have a lot of tools that I teach in my program about how to slow that down, but the game is really about prevention. The game is about getting you so deeply connected to a new foundation of calm that you never go there, or rarely go there anyway, unless you're really, really pushed. So you're flying out of control. I'm going to talk about what to do. What's the flip side look like in a little bit, but I'm going to give you the second excuse now. So the second excuse we use that really perpetuates this cycle and keeps it in motion is shouting gets my kids to take me seriously, and then it gets them to cooperate, right? So first is I can't get their attention and they won't listen. And the second is this is how I get them to get to like pull their weight, right? And same goes for partner, right? This is the only way I can be heard. So the only way I know to be heard is to completely lose control and let them know how this is serious for me. So scare tactics, this is the truth. Scare tactics do not create more cooperative, respectful children. I've been working with kids and families as well as moms for a really long time. And then a chunk of years ago, I just zeroed in and only started working with moms because I realized that that's the fastest way to get kids to cooperate is to teach moms how to teach their kids to cooperate. So it really is all about the mom. It's all about us. It's all about me and my house. It's all about you and your house in terms of like turning the train around. Scare tactics do not create cooperative children. They don't create respectful children. They create scared kids who shrink to not be noticed or targeted by our anger. This is it can be a hard thing to hear. So that's why I'm sharing it with you. I want you to know that this one truth can change everything for you. Scaring our kids does not create cooperative, respectful kids. It doesn't create present, focused connection. It doesn't create deeper love. It doesn't create trust. It does the opposite. It creates scared kids who don't trust anyone, who are scared of life, and who learn to be not noticed, not heard, to stay out of the line of fire. That is what we're teaching our kids when we snap and yell at them. I know it's scary. It's scary for me to say it and name that truth and to think of the times when I've yelled at my kids. But this is what happens. So it is better that we know. Our children not listening because of our anxiety and lack of boundaries or don't feel loved, or because, can I see this? Let me see if I can get it to come up. Or because they don't hear. Yeah. Because of a lack of connection, Martha. And it's not that, you may be like the most connected mom in the world, and sometimes your kids just aren't listening because they're in their they're in their like their own universe, they're in their imagination. That happens too. But mostly kids are not doing what we've asked them to do because of the way that we're not connecting with them to get their cooperation and help and respect. And there's so much that goes into that, but that's the very short answer. So the truth is, snapping at our kids happens in place of knowing how to really connect with our kids so that we get the kind of cooperation and connection and respect that we want and we need in order to run a peaceful home. We can't have kids doing whatever they want. We can't have them we can't have them making up their own rules and running their show. We just can't. Every home needs structure. Every home needs boundaries. We all need to know how to bring that to our kids and how to know where the limits are. Limits build safety. They need to know that. So if positive reinforcement doesn't work, then what? That's a really big question. And there is no short answer to that. But let's see if I can see. There is no short answer to that, but positive reinforcement is an important piece of the puzzle. And I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but because you need to be able to see, your kids need to be seen. They need to be felt. They need to be understood. They need to be known. They need to know what feels good in terms of growing the connection with you. And that's work that we teach them. Everything that we say to them, every conversation we have with them, every time that we ask them to please put their shoes in the proper place or walk with them to do it, that is positive connection. And positive reinforcement is like one tiny slice of behaviorist model, and behaviorist model is a tiny slice of something that we can do to impact the connection that we have in our homes with our kids and getting them on board to cooperate in the way that we need to, but it's not the answer. So the answer is so much bigger. It's about connection, and it's about our own ability to create the boundaries and limits that we need for our own success as women, as mothers, and how we teach them to do that. So snapping at them in lieu of not really knowing how to connect with them, and get that kind of cooperation that we need and that we want in order to run a peaceful home, is basically like, that's just what we're doing because we don't know how else to do it differently, which is what the questions coming in are kind of saying. So if it's coming up in partnership, if this resonates in terms of how you feel sometimes, that you're just going there striking up arguments, or you're resorting to making demands or ultimatums or things that feel crappy, it is pretty safe assumption that we also don't know how to get our needs met there in that partnership. So the bigger conversation, the larger perspective here is, how do I get my needs met for the household to run smoothly, for my kids to love and appreciate me, and vice versa. And the same is true for partnership. How do I get my needs met in my partnership? How do I have my partner doing the things that I see clearly he or she needs to be doing to run a household smoothly, to have our kids totally taken care of without me doing 90% of it? That doesn't work. That obviously doesn't work. That doesn't work for me. That would never work for my family. It can't work for you either. I mean, that would be nuts if it worked for you. I could hold space for listening and hearing that, but I just haven't met anyone yet who that works for. So how do you get your needs met in your relationship? How do you get that balanced partnership? How do you have people hear you and do what you're saying? So the lesson there, the reflection is, I don't know how to get my needs met in my relationship. So either in asking or in commanding the respect and support that we need, asking for or commanding. And this is in asking for or commanding, depending on the kind of rapport you have, current connection you have in your relationship. It may be one or maybe the other. This is essential to a healthy marriage, as well as essential to having happy kids and a happy household, and you being a relaxed mama. So the kids and the partner are responding to whatever we say and do. Sure, they bring their own stuff too, but I'm here to help you. So I'm sharing this from our perspective as moms. We hold so much more power than most of us realize. Just realize, like, the tip of the iceberg, and you hold so much more power to influence than you even know. So they're responding to what we say and do. We live in connection, and we're designed, just by design, we live in connection, and we co-create all of the tension in our home, all the stress, all the conflict in our houses. We co-create that, all of that. It's not just them creating it. It's not just from us. It's a co-created mess or a beautiful mess. And nobody's to blame for that. Like, we have to just stop. We have to stop that. We have to stop with the blame card. We have to stop beating ourselves up so profusely over things being out of balance in the home. It just doesn't get us anywhere. It does not get us where we want to go. It doesn't bring any goodness to us. So I wouldn't expect you to know how to do that on your own. That is something you're going to need support for, just keeping it real. But we have to start beating ourselves up. So nobody is to blame. And the longer you look to be right or prove to your kids or teach them about respect, then the deeper a hole you're going to dig. I'm just going to plug in my phone. It's about to die, and I don't want to lose you guys. All right. Let's see if I can pull this off. Perfect. All right. When we respect ourselves and what we want and what we need, then we can teach them about respect. We can teach them about respecting us. The deeper hole we dig into frustration and powerlessness, the more chaos they will bring. It's all reflection. Okay? So this means that when you wander around in anger, you get more anger. And when you focus on what's missing, you get less of what you want, right? Like attracts like. So this means that we can turn the tide at home. We can shift what's not working right now, and they will respond to our actions. When we're able to control ourselves, we see different results in our relationships. That's what gets reflected back to us. So the two are directly connected and impact each other. Does that make sense? You guys hearing this? Are you still with me? So you hold the power as moms to turn the tide. And anger and frustration those are both normal emotions. Those are emotions we all have, right? We can shift what's not working right now, and they will respond to our actions. When we're able to control ourselves, we see different results coming from them, okay? So anger, and I've talked about this before, is so cathartic. This can be a really beautiful emotion. It can be clearing. It is a catalyst for change. So when we can use our anger as a mechanism for change, then we can use it to right the imbalances. We can bring function to our dysfunction. We can bring order to the chaos and calm to the overwhelm. All of these things are shifts we can make inside of us that then result in our people. And calling on all Awakened Motherhood clients who are here in this group or come and listen to this to really, if this is true for you, then would just invite you to share your experience and just say, yes, this is how it works, because I know this is one of the things that we as women, it's the biggest leap to make. Like, do I have that big of a power of influence? Yes, you do. Yeah, it's not just me, it's all my clients too. When you connect in with your own power to influence, when you learn how to set healthy boundaries, when you don't apologize anymore for what you want, what you need, and you know how to connect with others to get that, life is so good. Life is so good. Can be a lot easier. Doesn't have to be pushing and hard work all the time as moms. So the anger is a really great catalyst for change. I want to make sure that you hear that. It is a fire that clears and burns away the dead old stuff that needs to go. So when we know, just talk for a minute about anger. So when we know how to harness anger, we can trade in the yelling at our kids for getting them to cooperate and comply when we need them to. This brings so much order at home. When we take ownership of ourselves, meaning we get in control of our emotions and our thoughts, so do they. So do they. So that's when we start seeing real change. Not when we try to get them to change, but when we decide to take full ownership of ourselves and our experience. That's when we can see them changing. And yes, it does feel like magic. When we are open to them, we enjoy their gifts. And then they feel seen and heard. So you know how sometimes you're not feeling seen and heard? You're feeling unappreciated? When you really learn how to see yourself, how to feel yourself, how to come into full ownership of what you're struggling with in your life, that's when they magically feel seen and heard. That's when they feel more connected to us, okay? So the result is, from that beautiful work, is your kids don't have to carry those burdens that have been handed down about not being enough, about unworthiness, about fear of never getting to have the good life that we want. They know that they're enough. They will know that they're enough. And not because we tell them, you're wonderful, I love you, you're beautiful. It's because we show them what it looks like. We show them what it looks like and feels like to be enough. Again, I would not expect this flip to be switched and then for you to know how to be there. Now, it does take a lot of internal work to be able to align with that. It doesn't take long at all, but it takes being willing to focus on you. So, can I talk a little more about meaningful connection? Let me see. Meaningful connection, or is it just too big? I've been seeing some amazing moments of connection with my 6-year-old who I've had such a blank spot with. Yeah, so glad, Martha, so much great stuff came out into your life from the challenge in this group. That's amazing. And I'm trying to figure out exactly what happened. Yeah, it does feel big because I need to know more in order to be able to really support you through that. I would want to know about her temperament and what the quality of your connection is with her like. But often there's one child out of the mix who the connection is really is harder with, and that's the child who's your biggest teacher. That's your guru, right? So and there's a lot there, and that's juicy, awesome work, and that's a piece of what I do with moms too. There's so much to unlock and unpack there that can really help us to grow massively. So, you guys, if you're living in the vicious cycle of reacting to what you're seeing, what you're feeling, and not knowing how to make space for that, and then you're having feelings about all of that, and you're judging yourself for it, then you're basically living in a really conditional existence. And you're also living without any real control. You're living without being able to be clear around your intentions and stay. A lot of moms who reach out to me to work with me will say, like, I've been doing these things. I've been creating my intentions, and I've been trying to meditate for X number of minutes a day, and I go to the gym, and I listen to podcasts, and I do all the things, and also, like, it all flops. It just flops. It falls apart. I can't get the momentum going. So that means you're ready to work with me if that's you. When we take charge of how we feel, when you're able to really get into the driver's seat, take full responsibility for how you feel, and take charge of it, meaning get control over it, then, like, not by forcing, not by resisting, not by constricting, not by avoiding, but like just flowing with what you feel and not being so bothered by it and being able to shift it easily and flexibly, then we parent intentionally, then we parent peacefully. We get the results we want from our kids because we're able to flow in that. So you can have all of the order you want in your home. You can have most of the cooperation you want in your home. They are their own human beings, so I'm using the word most. I feel like I get 90% of the cooperation I want in my house. That's pretty good, right? And you can do it without the guilt. You can do it without the guilt. You can do it without the shouting. And you can do it without feeling drained by the process of getting there. So we just wanted to show you a little bit of what's possible on the other side. So tell me your, would love to know, what you're thinking now, and if you are feeling, a yes on your heart that this is where you are now, and that these things really are possible for you, and they are possible for you. It just depends on readiness. Just depends on if you're ready. And how much you really want to shift the gears and really move out of overwhelm for good. You can move out of overwhelm zip code for good. You're going to have other feelings in the mix that come and go, but you can be fully in control of those. That's what's on the other side of the work that I do with mamas. So I just so hope this was helpful for you today, and will teach you and help you to increase your awareness so that you're not getting hung up on these sort of sneaky, low-lying, low-level excuses that have hooks in a lot of us. We really want to be able to see those so that we can just bring them out into the light and not be controlled by them. So thanks, Lori. Yeah, great. I'm glad you're appreciating this. I hope this was helpful for you. And please let me know if it was. I just appreciate so much hearing from you and seeing you stand, just stand for you, and also be courageous enough to connect with me, connect with what you want. I'd love for you to tell me one thing that you heard that really clicked for you today, or that felt true or felt new. That's what I invite you to do from here. So if you watched all the way to the end, do that for me. And then feel free to share your experience below. Do you have questions? Do you want to throw something my way? I'm happy to take a look and see if there's any kind of direction that I can offer you. And I'll let you know if this is something like that's too big. Don't worry about it. If it's too big, Martha, I appreciate your question too, and I'm totally comfortable with saying that's too big, or you just need to come work for me. I can't answer that in a chat. If you're here because you're tired of, you're tired. If you're here because you're tired. If motherhood has made you tired, and your kids are taking it out of you, and you really do feel pinched. You feel pinched because you don't know how to change it. And you want to change these cycles, and you want to know more about the how. I talk some about it, but obviously in the confines of these talks and workshops, we are limited by what we can accomplish, and you're not getting the live coaching piece from me. So if you want to know about the how, and you are feeling a readiness to change what is missing, what you're missing, and you want to grow that, and you want to release the frustration and the resentment and the blame and all of that, and you don't want to work so hard. You really want to be able to have a more peaceful experience in your home and parenting and in your marriage. And you want that for you. You can want it for others too, but you got to want it mostly for you. So, maybe you listen to me, maybe you listen to a lot of other teachers, and you've just been scraping together all the free pieces and thinking I could just get there on my own. I can do it myself. I can figure it out. At some point, you are likely to realize that that is not going to create real change for you. It will give you some things to play with and some ideas to work with, but it really doesn't create the depth of what you need for transformation, which is real change, what I call like lasting change. So feeling that ease and connection in your relationships, it doesn't come overnight, but it does come when you do the real work to have it, when you choose to have it. And for that, just keeping it real. Many, and most of you will not want this, but for those of you who are committed to change, and you do want support, it does take a level of reflection from somebody who really knows what they're talking about to be able to create those big shifts that you're wanting. It's something you can sort of, the one thing you cannot do for yourself is reflect. You cannot point things out to yourself. You can't see the patterns you're in. You can't gain any outside perspective on why you're stuck where you're stuck. And that is why people hire me, because you need that outside reflection and expertise to be able to really identify the pattern and where you're stuck, and then to know how to shift it and move it. So those are the pieces that my work offers. So whether it's me or someone else, if you're ready to change, just encourage you to reach out for support. Without that, you're really just subscribing to the I got to do it all myself mentality, which is what this whole talk is about. So I couldn't not say this at the end out of so much love. Reach out if you want to know more. If you want to learn how I'm helping my clients to get to their other side of the obstacles that they're struggling with, and stay there, hang out in the new neighborhood that they've built, the new planet of most of what I hear is joy, connection to joy. That's what my clients are feeling. So if you want to create the peaceful home, if you want to create a more connected family than you've ever had before, then now's your time to do it. So what I'm going to do is just going to invite you now to reach out and book a call. I'll place the link below. Get on my calendar, and we're going to have a chat about it. The purpose of that call is for me to help you get clarity about where you are and what you're in fact wanting. And sometimes that leads us to you are wanting what I have to offer, and sometimes that leads us to it's not time yet, or you need a stair step, and I'll point you in that direction too. So I'm going to love on you either way. You don't need to be scared of me. So I'm excited to connect with a few of you. I've got a couple of spots in Awakened Motherhood coming up again in a week. So I have space for a few more of you, and I'm just going to take a moment here to read some comments. Great. I'm so glad you're appreciating. I'm appreciating you all for being here for yourselves. Yeah, connection is a big deal. It's the biggest deal. Connection with our kids is the biggest deal. It's what most moms are missing when they can't get their kids to cooperate. So, yeah, well, exactly. Whatever you're focusing on grows. That's what's creating the vibration in your house. It's creating the mood, the tone. I'm late for my... And I'm loving being here so much that I'm late for my my call, which is happening now that I'm not there. So lots of love to all of you, and let me know how I can help. Drop your comments, drop your questions, and look forward to hearing from you. Feel free to post in the group. No one posts in my group hardly ever. Feel free to post in the group what you're struggling with, what you're wanting help with. Ask the other mamas. This is a huge group of really striving to be conscious mothers. So I'm happy to support you here too when you comment and post in this group. If you stayed this long, let me know it was helpful for you. Lots of love, and I'll see you all again soon.